Hello class, this is our last week of formal multiplication and division.
Yay.
We will continue doing that obviously throughout the year because you need to know how to multiply and divide. Thank you for having your computers closed so we can watch as we go through this. I will be calling on you specifically, well especially when we get to division by 35, because you're going to have to be able to tell me the multiples of 35. You know, 35 times 1, 35 times 2, and all that. But luckily, you've already done it, so it's on your paper. And all you'll have to do is just read it off your paper to me. So special. Thank you guys so much. The first one is division with decimals as the dividend. So we have 117 and 6/10 divided by 7. Now, since I have a multiplication chart in my journal, I'm not going to write the multiples of 7 because I can always look at that. But when I have a decimal point in my dividend, the first thing I do is move it straight up. Then I'm done with it. I don't need it anymore. Then I ask myself, does 7 go into 1? Myself says,
No.
I ask myself, does 7 go into 11?
Yes.
So I'm going to have 2 digits in front of the decimal point. And at least 1 digit behind the decimal point. Maybe more than 1 digit if I need to add a 0. Because you know I don't have remainders. How many times? I ask myself, how many times does 7 go into 11? Myself says, 1. 11 minus 7 is?
4.
4. Now I bring down my next number. Then I ask myself, does 7 go into 47?
Yes.
Myself says, yes. And then I ask myself, how many times does 7 go into 47? 6. Then I ask myself, what is 6 times 7?
42.
42. Then I bring down my 6, so this number is going to be in my 10th place. In my 10th place. So I ask myself, how many times does 7 go into 56?
8.
8 times. And 8 times 7 is 56. And so my answer is 16 and 8/10. But wait. I want to check to make sure my answer is correct. In order to do that, I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 16 and 8/10 times 7. When I multiply and I have decimals here, I'm going to ignore the decimals. And I'm going to start by multiplying 168 times 7. 168 times 7. Because I can. Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
And then since it's 1 digit, it's real easy. 7 times 8 is?
56.
56. 7 times 6 is?
42.
Plus 5?
47.
47. 7 times 1 is?
7.
Plus 4?
11.
11. Then I go back to my problem. In my problem, how many numbers are behind the decimal point total?
1.
1. So there has to be 1 behind it in the answer. If there were 1 here and 1 here, then there'd be 2 behind it in the answer. Also, I want to kind of get an idea of an estimate. I could change this to 15 times 7, and you all know that 15 times 7 is 105?
Oh.
135. 115. I don't know. 135? You're sure? I don't think that's right. 7 times 5 is 35. 5, there's 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 105. So that tells me my answer, if this is 105, so that also helps me where I put my decimal point. I'm just saying. That is the first problem. Then we're going to do an easy one, 43 multiplied by 15. If I want to break it down into smaller parts, and make it visually more appealing for myself, I can make it 43 times 5, because that 5 is in the ones place. I can make it 43 times 10, because that 1 is in the tens place. If I go, we'll go over here and use the standard algorithm. What is 5 times 3?
15.
15. What is 5 times 4?
20.
Plus 1?
21.
21. So 43 times 5, which is what I just did, is 215. That's what I just did. Now I'm moving into my tens place. So I'm done with my ones place. So I put my 0 there because I'm moving into my tens place. And this is where it gets difficult. 1 times 3 is?
3.
1 times 4 is?
4.
And that's what this is. 430. It's just more visually pleasing for some, so I break it apart so you can see it that way. Then we have 5. Then I have 645. As long as myself gives me all the correct information, myself would be right. Now if I rushed through so I could get on to Prodigy, myself might be wrong. Then I have 3,927 divided by 35. And as your mean teacher told you, you're going to list your multiples of your divisor. So 35 times 1 is?
35.
35 times 2 is?
70.
35 times 3 is?
105.
35 times 4 is?
140.
35 times 5 is?
175.
35 times 6 is?
210.
35 times 7 is?
245.
35 times 8 is?
275. 280.
35 times 9 is?
310. 315. Yes. Oh my God.
Alright, so now that I've done that, I've made my life much easier.
Yeah.
And then I go back and I ask myself, does 35 go into 3? Myself says no. Now I ask myself, does 35 go into 39?
Yes.
That means I'm going to have a number above the 9, the 2, and the 7. So I go over here, I want to take it into 39. I look at my multiples, I have 35, 70, 70 is too big. So it must be 35 times 1, which would equal 35. 4, bring down the 2. Then I ask myself, does 35 go into 42? Myself says yes. I go back to my multiples, 35, 70, 70 is too big. So it must be times 1, which is 35. Subtract, I get a 7. Bring down my next number. Then I have to see 35 into 77. 35, 70, 105. 105 is too big, so it must be times 2, which is 70. And so I get 112, remainder 7. But wait, I want to check to make sure my answer is correct. So if I wanted to check it, this would be my process for checking it. I would multiply 112 times 35, and then I would add 7. That would be my remainder. You add your remainder in. Thank you for asking. We will go ahead and check it, you go. We have 112 times 35. You go. What's 2 times 5? 10. Awesome. 0, carry the 1. 5 times 1, you go. Plus 1. Awesome. 5 times 1, you go. 5. Now move into my tens place. Am I okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Tens place, 3 times 2, you go. 3 times 1. 3 times 1. Add that together. 12, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 9, 2, 0. Oh! It didn't work. Oh, I have to add the remainder in. Thank you. I always forget that part. So 3, 9, 2, 7. So bam, it worked.
Yay.
Thank you for your participation today. Have a good day.